Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Sletzy here, and today I got a really good project to show you. You might have seen it already on my channel, but today we're doing an analysis and overview of the Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition India Overhaul project mod. This mod adds so many cards that now India has 360 card options. 360 card options. That's a lot of cards, 360 card options. Like, look at all these cards here. You got all these cards, you got these, you got these, and then you have these. 360 in total. That's a big amount. Now, there are some that are overlapped with the actual India Civ, but the new ones, I would say, far outweigh the old ones by a huge margin, yeah. Not only that, India now has new consulate options, new wonders, yes, with new unique models, new buildings outside of wonders, so not just new wonders, but new buildings too. Huge unit roster. I mean, look at all these unit cards here. Units you probably have never seen before, right? Oh yeah, no, and then even all the mercenaries and natives and stuff are all refurbished and everything. It's quite good. It's quite good. And not only that, you got whole new mechanics like new religion mechanics, new logic and stuff to the Civ. It's pretty astonishing what this person did to the India Civ in his India Overhaul project mod. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start here at the top, sort of do our analysis of the cards so I can describe them to you, maybe give you a thought or two of my opinion of them if there's one warranted. And then we're going to go into a bit of a gameplay where I'm going to play the Civ, mostly focusing on the new features such as the new units, the new wonders, the new consulate options, new buildings, really all that, because it's a lot. This is probably going to be my biggest analysis overview video I've ever done, because the sheer volume of the stuff in this mod for this one Civ India is just huge. It's like really big. I mean, you never see mods make civs this sophisticated and overbooked, I would say. Overbooked and overclocked, yeah. So, yeah, we're going to start off with the Exploration Age cards, and then we're going to work our way down to Age 4, if you don't mind. So, up here, we got our Infinite Resource cards. These are the ones that every Civ gets, right? Infinite 300 food, Infinite 300 wood, Infinite 300 coin. If any of the cards are already existing in the game for Definitive Edition, I'm not really going to go into them too much, so I'll just, kind of say what they are. The Mystical Syllable, for the Sacred Fields. You got some pet cards here, lions and tigers. Unfortunately, no bears, oh my. But there are red pandas down here if you want to, look at. Yeah, there's some red pandas. Sort of a bear, or so or not. Trade Empire, very good card. Pioneers. Yeah, you got pioneers here for your villagers. So if you're worried that your villagers are going to get raided, you can use pioneers now to protect them, just like you can with other civs. Now, the fun thing here is, look how they get a new unique icon. New unique graphics. Yeah, even some of the cards that exist already in the game for other civs that were added to the India Civ got a new flavored graphic for it, which is really neat. A lot of attention to detail, I would say. Well, yes and no. I mean, some things like the balance and other things were clearly thrown out the window, but that's usually fun, right? So I don't complain about that. Enlists or regulars, you know what that is, right? Gives you more defense of your base. You got Bazaar. Basically, you get a market and improves your market rate. Holy Refuge, you know that one. Advanced Rice Paddy, Advanced Dock. Good Faith Agreements, Advanced Wonders, Galaksha, you know that one. Grove, Rickshaw, and Villager. Yep, you still have the bonus where every card gives you a villager too. So when you are sending these bajillion cards, just know that you are going to effectively get a ton of villagers shipping them all too, which is really fun. East Indiaman, Sawmills, Exotic Hardwoods, Woodcrafting, your distributivism wood trickle, of course. Also wanted to note that your villagers do still cost wood, by the way, so, Wood Trickle is still a great card and probably the first one you should send, but maybe not, considering the many cards you're going to see in Age 1 that we're going to go into down below. You got your Ironmonger, you got your Food Silos, Fur Trade, Furrier, Rum Distillery, Farmland Conservation, your Sumptuary Laws, your Bombay Marine, and now we start to get into the new cards, which is majority of them as you can see here. The first one we got is Festival of Lights. Ships resources at random worth the total of 1,000 and fireworks. So basically you get 1,000 resources worth of random crates, and then your houses and town center will literally shoot off fireworks as sort of like a visual thing. Kind of funny. It's got both a visual aspect that does nothing, and then it just gives you like 1,000 random resources. Pretty scary, huh? Especially if they're all food or gold, right? Kind of like an insta-fast fortress in a way. Oh yeah, no. Can be very scary. Makes it not a bad option to send, actually. No. But you also got this one, too, which I like to send. Textile Guilds. Gives you a rickshaw for a consulate and 100 export to spend. So it's almost as powerful as the T export card for China, except it doesn't have the export trickle. Yep. Just slightly weaker. But you will have multiple cards with this India Civ that do give you export trickles. So there's a reason why they didn't include it with just this card. If you enhance it with the other cards we're going to go over, you will have probably a stronger export trickle than even the Chinese Civ gets with the T export card. You got your Badashah Sadak. Trade route upgrades are now free. So, your stagecoach, your train, all those, completely free once you send this. Very good. And then you got Akbarabad Mint. Exchanges all your food and wood for an equal amount of gold. So if you want to go mercenaries or outlaws, here's the one that you probably want to go with. If you have a ton of huntable meat and wood that you're just churning out, but you're out of mines, you just saved yourself a lot of trouble now, right? Oh yeah, no, most definitely. Bunyan Settlement allows you to support 30 population without the need of TCs or houses. This is quite useful if you want to save more of your wood in the early game to make military, not focus as deep on eco, and it probably makes your macro a bit easier too. It's very similar to the card we see with the Maori in Wars of Liberty, where you effectively send a card like this and then you don't have to worry about building those huge expensive buildings to get your pop, right? So yeah, really I would say a card like this, most immediate perk is saving on wood when it really counts. As the game progresses, might give you a bit of an insurance policy for your pop space in case somebody burns all your houses down, but that's a whole nother situation. Yeah, and then we got the Bidri Metalworks. Grants a steady trickle of gold equivalent to capitalism. Is that? Yep, it looks like about the same as capitalism for the European civs. So basically, Bidri Metalworks is just a gold trickle, right? And then you have Caravanserai. Trading posts gain a range attack and can garrison up to 5 units. I have a feeling when the developer made this one, he was sort of thinking of the Wars of Liberty Middle East civs. Because if you look at the Wars of Liberty Middle East civs, they get a building called the Caravanserai that replaces the train post. And what sets that apart was that was able to shoot at units and have 5 pop space. So this guy probably thought, how can I take the Wars of Liberty Caravanserai concept and make it a bit different? Oh yes, that's right. Instead of providing 5 pop space, I'll just let you garrison up to 5 units in the thing instead. Okay, well, I mean, honestly, it could help in certain micro situations, because then you get sort of the whole Orochrony Korean Civ type of meta from the Wars of Liberty Koreans, where you'll be able to, take your military, possibly, and stick them inside of the trading posts, evade enemy shots, and then come out and go boop, 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 and potentially win certain fights. Also, obviously, adding a ranged attack to your trading posts is really good for the agencies that normally don't get this functionality because Trade Empire doesn't include that. So, technically, India is just a little bit more advanced now thanks to that card. You got your Chin's Die Work. Grants a steady trickle of export, 0.5. About the same trickle rate, I believe, as tea export for the Chinese. So if you kind of want the full tea export experience, you're going to have to send textile guilds, and then you're going to have to send chintz dye work. However, there are further export trickle things down the road as well, so you could potentially enhance it even more if you so wished, right? Classical dance, plus 20% HP for villagers, right? This is pretty good because if you combine classical dance with the pioneers, now your villagers have 85% more HP. That's crazy, almost 100% stronger. And trust me, there's more villager HP cards down the pike as well, so you could potentially become unrateable and then as unstoppable as a Streletsy if you keep sending these, right? And you'll see here, Ryet, that's the new name of your villager for India. Not only did the developer add a bunch of new content to India, he basically renamed all the structures and everything to have their actual Indian names rather than just, the English stuff, making things a bit more significant historically. Yeah. And then you have cultural synthesis. Natives and techs are 50% cheaper. Wow, that's pretty good, especially if you send it in early game to help you research kind of all the techs that you got, right? Plus, if you want native spam, also helps with that too, saving on the food and the wood if you're rushing someone. Coastal levies. Increases the build limit of Catamaran and Kashti by 20. Yep. You got all new naval units too available to this new India. So this effectively increases your navy by about 40 vessels. Just so you know, both the Catamaran and the Kashti aren't really like huge monitor-sized boats. You're not going to run into that sort of situation, but having 20 really weak boats to surround your main navy on top of the ones you're already able to make makes a huge difference, I think. It really does. Council of Nobles, plus 50% HP to all Mansabdars. Just note that currently in this new India Civ, there's only 3 active Mansabdars in the game. I don't know if he plans on adding any more of them or not. Probably because the dude did so many units, he's probably cherry-picking which units he's going to make a Mansabdar for, since, trust me, when you look at this game, you're going to realize that there are way more units than you can fit into a UI of the Shamanar Gate. It's, like, brutal, dude. Yeah, it's, like, insane. It's, like, actually insane. Like, you would need to be able to have an UI spot with, like, 40-something slots in there just to accommodate this Civ. It's, like, crazy what they did to it. Yeah. Another military-related card, Dal Armorwork. Plus 1 armor for all infantry units. So this adds 1 armor point to all of the units in your infantry roster. So all your skirms, hand infantry, muskets, grenadiers, abbots, all that. Quite good because they'll make units slightly more resistant to stuff, while not being too strong, right? Yeah, totally. And then you have the Donorvida, Dakali, and Kamandar, plus 4 range and 20 damage. Plus a villager. So it adds 4 range onto your archers and 20% damage. Okay, that's kind of Yaoman on steroids there. Already available in Age 1. Yeah, and trust me, when you look at what the Dakali is, the Dakali already starts out with the stats of a longbowman, so effectively you're turning it into like a mega longbowman, kind of on par with the range of like an arrow knight. Kind of scary. Scary for the opponent. And then moving on, we got Elephant Logistics. Elephants move 50% faster. Of course we have elephants with this India Civ. Why wouldn't we? There's even more elephants than you can count. Gajashastra, 10% damage for all elephant units. So we're not even in the Fortress Age yet, and we're already buffing the elephants with our cards, right? You're going to sort of understand why it's so hard to pick and choose decks in this game, because there's just so many cards, just so many possibilities, so many combinations, so many everything that you cannot even figure out what to do. And it's great. It's just great. Dewan's Ledger. Villagers gather food and gold from rice paddies 10% faster. So it's effectively like a mild farming related card, right? Not as intense as, say, rum distillery or food silos individually, but it does affect both late game gather rates, which is pretty awesome. Fire Temple, not to be confused with the one from Ocarina of Time, a whole different Fire Temple. Increases the build limit of monsters by 2. Just note that the monsters are now called Diogars. Yep, and they do a lot of different stuff this time. So you can basically choose now what the monastery or the Diogar actually trickles. You can trickle food, wood, gold, or XP, kind of making it more like a factory in a way. But instead of all the mercenary and outlaw stuff, you can simply just train religious leaders, yeah. You can make imams, you can make Christian priests, you can make Buddhist monks, Sikh gurus, different religious monks that have different powers and stuff. Kind of awesome, actually, how much quality they did with that. Moving on, we got Kalali Patio. Kalali Patio. Plus 20% melee attack for all hand infantry units. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because note that your India Civ has both sort of like pikeman style melee units, also has Coyote Runner type melee units too. So, huge variety of melee stuff in your roster, thus making this a pretty worthwhile investment. Mardani Kill doubles the damage dealt by villagers. So, villagers gain 100% attack. Combine that with this and classical dance. Now you basically can rush your enemies with your villagers at this point, kind of like the Courier de Bois. Yeah, no. At least if you set it up that way, that is. Rocket Innovation. Bandar units are 20% cheaper. Beta Jorba Bandar costs reduced by 20% wood and 20% coin. I remember correctly, these are the Rocketeers you get to train from your Artillery Foundry. Yes, Artillery Foundry. This new India Civ has the castle and the Artillery Foundry. All the sort of artillery stuff is moved to the new foundry, and the castle just trains more infantry and cav units now. Yeah, I didn't mention that. This Civ is like loaded with units. Way more units than you can even count. The Count from Sesame Street would have trouble counting all this stuff. Golconda Mines. Mines yield 50% more. And by yield, that basically means your mines last 50% longer when your villages gather from them. Yep, so your mines end up becoming more useful to you. And you don't have to run around on the map as much looking for more things on the map, I should say. Yeah, pretty much. And then, next one here, Harbor Fortification. Bangagas and Sorayas gain a range attack. So, basically, that is your trading post structure there, and then another structure mentioned there, basically your docks. So now your docks and your trading posts can effectively defend against rushes a lot easier, which is pretty good. And then we got Indigo Planters here. Villagers gather coin from rice paddy 20% faster. 20% faster. Just note that Rum Distillery does the same amount here, so you're effectively double dipping Rum Distillery if you send Indigo Planters with Rum Distillery. Yeah, the Civ gives you a lot of options. You can go the whole military route with stuff like this and this, or you can just go full double dip in the eco like this. And that's not counting all the other stuff we're going to see down the road either. So, you got a lot of options to play with here for cards. Jantar Mantar. Villagers move 20% faster. Villager plus 25% movement speed. Yep, not only will your villagers be too tanky to raid, now they can get away faster too. Yes, indeed. Jaloikva Darshan, plus 50% increase HP of Diwan and Wazir. Those are your new explorers. So the Brahmins are gone and these guys are in. So instead of having like a elephant-mounted Hindu priests. Now you have more Mughal-like infantry explorers. They got the stun ability still, just like the elephants do. I believe they have the same combat stats somehow as the elephants, which is really weird. But one thing they did add to them though is like a pistol ability where they can instantly kill a unit. Very powerful. Kind of puts them more on par with European explorers, which is pretty nice. And then you got the Kilat ceremony. Wazir and Diwan cost to recall is halved. So if you get your explorers killed and you want to like revive them without having to send your army over to bail them out, now that cost is reduced by 50% coin, making it quite cheaper to do. For all you people out there that forget what you're doing with your explorers and they suddenly get captured by the enemy, yeah. Langar Seva grants a steady trickle of food. I think it's slightly weaker than Colberism, but considering all the card options you get here, I'm not going to complain about. Because doesn't Colberism give you a 2.1 food trickle? Yeah, it does. It's like missing a decimal point there. But I think it's fine, because honestly, we've already seen so many cards at this point, it's like... And more to come, that it's... I won't even care about that fact, because you could double dip it with other things too. It's crazy. Like this one, miniature painting. Gives you a coin trickle of 1 coin per second and an XP trickle of 0.25 per second. So, just to put it into perspective, right? You can combine this, and this, and which one was it? This. And that's not all of them. So you can go trickle. You can do more trickle economics than Ronald Reagan. It's crazy. Oh yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. And then we're down here to Mysorean Industries. Mysorean Industries has artillery units cost 20% less gold. Wow. Yeah. And just so you know, you got a lot of artillery options now too. It's not just the siege elephants anymore. You get all sorts of cannons that you can use on your enemies. So this frankly is pretty good. Gives you a really strong mid to late game artillery advantage just because you'll be able to afford yours a little bit better. Right? And now we have nautical charts. Ships move 10% faster. Basic naval card. Nothing too crazy there. Palm leaf manuscripts. All unit train times reduced by 10%. So it's kind of like, kind of like the acupuncture card for the Chinese, right? Instead of focusing on one unit class, it's a little bit of every unit class, which is really good. Panchatantra. Livestock generate more XP when tasked to sacred fields. And it's not just the cows anymore. Yeah. You can actually train all sorts of animals at the sacred field now, too, beyond cows. You can make elephants, camels, monkeys, peacocks. Yep, peacocks are in the game. The peafowls, yeah. Wow. You're probably pretty shocked of how much stuff this developer actually did with this civ. Even added more animals to it. And that's not including the ones you can ship in like these ones, too. Yeah, all sorts of animals. And now we are moving on to Paper Mills of Kashmir. Grants a steady trickle of wood and XP. So, this card somehow trickles more wood than this card, and it gives you an XP trickle too. So, let's just say you combine this and this, or better yet, you send the Paper Mills of Kashmir first, and then send distributivism after that, and then send foreign logging in H2. Your wood trickle capabilities are going to be through the roof. You might not even have to put villagers on wood anymore. You might just be able to keep them on hunts and coin, unless you're going with the wood-heavy sort of build. Yeah, very fascinating what this mod does to India. That's all I'm going to say. Pearl Fishery Coast. Fishermen gather gold at 30% faster rate. So, basically your whale gather rate, improved by 30%. It's basically whale oil, but with the new name and icon on it. Well, actually, did whale? I'm trying to remember. I think whale oil gave you like 35% better whaling rate, right? So it is kind of weaker than that, but as you're seeing, like, that's kind of has to be the case because of how many cards you can stack on top of each other. They kind of have to make them slightly less efficient in some areas, keep it from being a total nightmare. Yeah. Peacock Throne. All units plus 5% HP. That is all your units. Your villagers, your artillery, your infantry, your cavalry. I think even your navy and stuff. Does it include your building? I don't think. I don't know. I don't know how proto unit laws work in the code, but yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Orgada Wheel. Villagers gather resources faster from rice paddies. So plus 20% on both food and gold. Just note that a little while ago, we just saw a card that kind of already did something like that, right? It was somewhere here, yeah, Dilwan's Ledger. So now we got a card that works double as strong as the Ledger card here. Yeah, Dilwan's Ledger only does 10%. This one does 20%. So why would you even send Dilwan's Ledger before you even send or got the wheel anyways? Like, get the 20% first and then send the 10% after that. Provided you're building rice paddies this early, I mean, that's a lot of assumptions. But then again, if you're sending paper mills of Kashmir with distributivism, your wood trickle is already so monstrous that maybe you can start sending rice paddies early. Who knows? Who knows what this developer was thinking here with this stuff? It's crazy. Indian National Congress. Make monks and leaders cheaper. So it affects your explorers. The Badshah, which is a whole nother Imperial Age unit you'll be able to train. Your Mansabdars and also your religious priests from the Diogar, that new renamed monastery. Ooh. Sorry. Yeah, basically it's all of your significant units pretty much. Yeah, you got a lot of power with this India Civ beyond just your regular military. You get a lot of supporting rules too. It's quite fascinating. Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Villagers gain 30% additional HP. So now you combine Pioneers with Classical Dance, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Now our villagers are looking at a steep 115% more HP. So double their HP. So it's almost like we gave the villagers a veteran, a guard, and an imperial upgrade in HP, and then said, you know what? Let's slap on another hit point card, because why not? Yeah. Rati Tola Masha increases your current gold stockpile by 10%. So I don't know if we got the coding right on this. I never tested it, but what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to take the current gold that you currently got and increase it in your inventory by 10%. So let's just say you have like, I don't know, like 1,000 coin, right? Now you would have a 1,100 coin instead of just 1,000. So it's a slight improvement on your coin amount. Obviously, the more coin you got, the better it is, right? So if you have like 100,000 coin, then yeah, you're gonna be looking at like 100,010 coin now. So really good stuff, I would say, definitely. Iknabubs increases gather rate for Cha Bagans tea fields by plus 20%. Basically, not only do you have like your rice paddies, but later on, as you're gonna see, there is a way that you can actually access tea farms too to actually gather export. Yeah, so there's export farms for India too. Not only can we send multiple export trickle cards, but we can gather export like a farm. That must be really great for people that love to get attacked by consulate units, right? Yeah, no. It gets better and better. Trust me. Tree of Life motif. Tree, berry, and hunted animal resources last longer. So this is like a mega yield card that affects the stuff normally affected by spice trade, right? And also trees. So it's like a mega yield card, I should say, because effectively all of your trash unit related resources are now going to last forever and ever, or at least slightly longer now, which is great. If you want to rush home with, say, archers and spearmen, which India can indeed do now. Yeah. Jali Lattice screens. Villagers build buildings faster by 50% faster, so it takes them like half the time to build stuff now. Not bad. Imagine combine that with advanced wonders now. Wow. Instantly building wonders. Lodi Garden. Villagers cost 20% less now, so they're cheaper in food, wood, and gold. And you might be asking, why is it doing the discount on food, wood, and coin at this point? Well, as you can see, there's ways to change your villagers' costs entirely, right? Including changing your villagers to a food cost, and yeah, no. There's a reason why it's set up this way. Moving on, though, we have Fort Williams, Calcutta. East India Company units have plus 10% now. So, yeah, that's a new consulate option that we're going to be going over. That's the new one. The East India Company, with their own set of strong elite military units. Yeah, no. And that's actually ties deeply into the this card here, because it's actually the East India Company that's actually going to allow you to build the tea farms, the cha bagans. So if you want to get the tea farms, you're going to have to go with the East India Company. Just be aware that it's more of a trade-off, you know. Whereas the other consulate allies only benefit you, the East India Company has a trade-off that might hurt you. So you'll see that as well. Nayankara system. All units are trained faster by 5%. So you combine this with the other card that I showed you. Effectively, those combined would be a 15% improved train rate combined. Overall, this card is kind of poop. You know, I wouldn't send it personally because 5% train rate improvement is kind of really marginal unless you combine it with other stuff like the card that we showed you above. So, yeah, this card, just because the card exists doesn't mean that you automatically want to send it, obviously, right? You kind of want to look through the other cards and come up with a game plan of what you want to do, make specific combos, otherwise you'll have some problems. Yeah. Advanced Theka. Thekas now support population and can be constructed in Age 1. And it improves their build limit by 2. So what is a Theka? A Theka is an Indian Lombard. Yeah. So India, instead of having their mercenaries and outlaws at the monastery now, since that serves a whole new purpose, now gets their own Lombards, called Thekas, with their own unique model too, so it's pretty sweet. You can train your outlaws and mercenaries there, plus you can use it to, balance out your stockpile, just like you could with the Italian Lombards. Pretty awesome, right? This civ is pretty intense now. There's like so many options for you. Yeah. Teak Sagwan increases the hit points of Bandargas, Ketuvalams, and Catamarans. So effectively buffs up your navy, including those wonderful catamarans we already talked about. Padre Dali increases plus 5 Shaki build limit. What's a Shaki? It actually improves it by 10. The card lies. It actually gives you even more than that. A Shaki is an Indian tower or outpost. Yeah. So it wasn't enough to let India have castles. Now they got towers on top of the castles. So your base becomes even more formidable. Yeah. And now you're adding 10 more towers on top of that build limit. So good luck rushing an India base with that. In Tequam, receive 1 Toradar for every villager loss. Delivers Beta Jorba Toradar. Basically, the Toradar is a reskinned, renamed Sepoy. Yeah. Has a new icon, new textures, new name, but statistically the same as a Sepoy. So, let's just say, hypothetically, in theory, your enemy raided you with like Lakota and killed like 20 vills, and you're looking like you're almost dead. You can send this card, and on top of whatever army you have like existing that you're going to counter rush with, stack on like 20 Sepoys onto that stack. Could potentially win you the game. It's actually very strategic. Yeah. Environmentalism, a card we usually only see with the Native Americans, improves the tree yield by 400%. Basically, trees last forever. Really bad if you're on the Forest Nothing map, but every other map, Good. Very good. Folk Heroes. Normally this is part of the tavern, but India can ship it as a card apparently. Yeah. Nice. Baba Budan. Villagers gather their coin from berry bushes instead of food. So, you know those wonderful berry bushes you get at the start of the game? Because it wouldn't be Age of Empires without berries. Now, those very same signature berries give you gold instead of food now. So instead of eating the berries and maybe getting some antioxidant benefit from it, you sell the berries to somebody else so that you can keep eating your gumdrops. Yeah. Good dietary choice. Reclaim land. This is one of the many rice paddy farm cards we see with Japan, now moved over to India. Gives you a rickshaw and slightly improves your farming rate from the paddy. Pretty cool, huh? How many eco cards this Civ gives you? Yeah. Great for great for deathmatch, but also treaty, especially treaty. Ayavoles. Grants resources for past control of trade routes, plus 25% of all resources you have earned so far are granted to you again. So what does that do? I'm kind of confused by the language there. Does it... So it basically gives you back like 20% plus 25% of the resources you've been awarded by holding the trade route. So let's say you've kept your trade route up for like a half hour. You've accumulated like 500 food, 500 coin, 500 wood, and maybe 1,000 XP. It's going to give you all of that back. That's pretty good. Or at least 25% of that, so you'd get a quarter of that, maybe. Yeah. Now we just look at the animals here. You got the python, a little snake. Probably venomous, right? Yep, most definitely. You got your tendua, a new kitty cat, cobra, another poisonous cat snake, and then you have swans. All team cards. These are all team cards, so these go to everybody. Yay! Everybody gets animals. Everybody loves animals, right? Who doesn't love animals? Animals are great. Yeah, so now we move on to the second section here for Commerce Age or Age 2. Now we start to look at military. First unit, a Hades Matchlock Drill. Gives you 12 Toradars. A 12 sepoy shipment in Age 2. 12 sepoys. Not 12 Russian muskets or recruits. 12 sepoys. Yeah. If you're an India main and you ever tried to run this in ranked, I think you might give an almond player an aneurysm thinking about that. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to do it to an almond player because I don't like dealing with them at all in ranked, so that would be pretty funny. But moving on, Ramdanu Marksmanship gives you 15 Dakali archers, Betajorba Dakali. So basically the proto units are always named Betajorba for some reason, so it's Betajorba Dakali. These are statistically longbowmen, so we will go from 12 Sepoy card to 15 longbowman card in Age 2. Scary. Very scary. If it wasn't enough, we got Saltpeter Kartkanas. Saltpeter Kartkanas gives you 4 Plangi swivel guns. The Betajulba Plangi. These are Abyss guns. So you can go 12 Sepoy, 15 longbowmen, and 4 Abyss gun rush within three shipments. And as I'm going to show you down a little bit further down in the list here, it's actually pretty easy to do that. Way too easy to do that. But if you want some cab, you got Kathi Horseman Charge. You get 8 Buj Cavalry. But the Juba Buj, these are one of your Hussar-like hand cavalries you get access to at your caravanserai. So, yeah, you got your stable, you got your barracks, foundry, your castle with all sorts of different military units. One of the new units is a Hussar equivalent. So you got longbowmen, Abyss guns, Hussars, Sepoys in your Civ roster, a lot of stuff. Rathors, Sphere Phalanx. 15 Burcha Spearmen. 15 Betajurba Burcha. These are essentially Indian spearmen. I don't think I don't think they're strong as pikemen. They're a little bit closer to something a little bit weaker than the pikemen, I would say. But they're pretty spammable. So you got spearmen, hussars. But you don't need me to keep repeating myself, do you? You're just. I think you're starting to understand why this India civ is so huge, covers so many bases. It's like insane. And then you have Thug's Blade Mastery. Gives you 12 Qatar Dagger Infantry. 12 Buttajurba Qathars. Essentially, you're renamed, re-icon, re-textured Rajputs. So you get Spearmen and then you get Rajputs in the same tree. Pretty good, right? Yeah. And then you have Naik's Whip Blade Drill. Gives you 10 Anu Pavamala Arumi. So one thing you're going to know right away if you're like a deep India meta person that really cares about India's unique stuff, with this new India Civ, you get to train Arumis. You actually get to train Arumis without having 8 cards in your home sig. So if you want to like put some more of these crazy cards in your deck, don't worry about saving room for the Arumis because now you can just train them yourself. This card though sends you 10 of them in H2. 10 of them. Nightmare fuel scenario for tournament organizers. Yeah, because God forbid you got a British person going with the musketeer push, mana boom. You come in there with like 10 Arumis and go, Hamla, Hamla. They're basically resigning within seconds. Crying and, calling their mother and their grandmother to bake them cookies. Not good. And then you have Akali's Blue Brigade. Gives you 10 Shamsher Warriors. Buttajurba Shamshers. Those are basically Indian Coyote Runners. Yeah. So you get Hussars and Coyote Runners in the same roster. Yeah. So many options. So many options. It's kind of like, you're a kid, and then your parents are like millionaires or multimillionaires, and they say, hey, Jimmy, what do you want to get at Toys R Us? And then the kid has like 500 toys and has so many toys he doesn't even know what to do with them. He doesn't even like them. He just wants them because he's sake of having them. That's what this Civ is like. Units you might not even make. You got them there. And then we got the Payaga Horseman card. 8 Commandar Cavalry Archers. So basically you get Cav Archers too. Yeah, 8 Cav Archers. Scary enough. Cav Arch. And it gets better and better, so just keep following me along for the ride. And then we got this card here. Malabar Kolam Prowlers. Ships in about 5 catamarans. Good for naval maps, obviously. 12 Thapa Warriors. Gives you 12 Kukli Infantry. 12 Anuphavin Kukli. These are Indian Roderos. So you get Kayavars and you get Rods in the same roster. So you could literally send the Kuklis to go kill the Cav while the Shamshars are killing the Skirms. Really fun experience for the opponent, right? And then you get Thorn Axemen of the Ghats. 12 Kund Axemen. So these are basically Indian Shotel warriors that have that infamous infantry multiplier in their stats. So you got multiple flavors of fast infantry. I hope you know that. Moving along, we got the Gilgis Hill Ambuscade. Gives you 8 Giselle sharpshooters. So yeah, we get Afghan Giselle cheese replacing Gurkhas. Yeah, the Gurkhas are no more. Now we got Giselle cheese. Yeah. Because I made a complaint, the dude ended up increasing their base range to 20. So now they actually have the full range of a Fortress 8 skirmisher. Because I made a compelling case to them, the Giselle cheese are like really good snipers, and they definitely shouldn't be at 18 range. They should, at the very least, have the standard range of a skirmisher. At the very least, right? If you know anything from my Wars Liberty experience, I take my Giselle cheese very seriously. They're like my right-hand men, so, yeah. Moving along, we have Desert Rider Brigade. Gives you 8 Unt Camel Cavalry. Buttajurba Unt. These are basically your Sawars, yeah. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, no, most definitely. Then you have 12 home guards, 12 Dao swordsmen, Ungivya Dao. So you got Dao swordsmen too, sort of another anti-cav option you get. So many weapons. I mean, Dao swords, those are the swords that the Chinese use. So they got Chinese swordsmen on top of all this other stuff. You got Afghan snipers, Chinese swordsmen, all of this. Wow. You're never going to get hungry for unit shipments. I mean, you could pack your whole home city deck up here with all of these cards, and you would never run out of unit shipments to send. I'm guaranteeing you. No, a regular India Civ, all you get like Rajput, Sepoy, Sawar. Here, send everything, and then you get all this stuff down here too if you want to spend the coin on. Yeah, but moving along, we got our resource crates. It's the same as the vanilla India Civ. Rhinos and tigers and no lions and bears, oh my. Dravidian martial arts. Important note about this one now, if before for the definitive edition Civ, right, it had a special emphasis on the Rajput, giving them some extra attack. This guy gladly changed that for them to add more attack to the Arumis instead. So now we got Arumis with plus 20% hand attack now, thanks to this card. Plus 20% hand attack. And all the other melee units we get, like these, and these, and these, and these, and these, and all the other ones, they're getting 15% hand attack. Yeah. It's great for the user, but bad for the opponent. That's all I'm going to say. Plus 30% for camels. Yep, you still got camel units as you see here, so same concept. Desert Terror. So this affects the Unts and the Zambaraks now, but it does so in the exact same way as it does in the 5th edition, so it's nothing too special there. Native Learning, Native Alliance. You still got your fencing and riding school, but now they have Indian-flavored icons, so they actually look like Mughal soldiers now. Pretty cool looking. The Raj. And then you got this card here. Mughal architecture, Flatland Castle. These are all the old cards, so I'm just breezing through them. Extensive fort, called arms, Zamindars. Let's note that this will now give you Toradars instead of Sepoys, but interestingly enough, the card does use the parentheses there, just so people know that Toradars and Sepoys are pretty close to each other, so makes it a bit easier for them to understand the value of the card, which I definitely appreciate. Battlefield construction. This affects the Toradars now, since the Sepoys are no more. To build Paidgains, Astabals, Topkanas, and Gors. So that's your barracks, stable, artillery foundry, and castle. Because again, now the foundry and the castle are separate entities now with their own sets of military. Diplomatic intrigue, grazing, land reforms, grove rickshaws, rendering plant, foreign logging, silversmith, sustainable agriculture, spice trade, team medicine, improved warships, European cans, admiralty, new Mughal flavored icon by the way, atonement, ashram scholar, kuchti pelwani, paiki keda, palace workshop. Oh, wait a minute. These are some new cards. Let's go over these, shall we? Ashram Scholar. Villagers' overall work rate improved by 15%. So it's basically a slightly stronger eco-theory. Basically, this one will improve your villagers' gather rate by 15%. And literally everything. Literally everything. Literally anything. Yeah. This one, the Kuchti Pelwani. Improves villager HP by 50%. So, like adding another almost pioneers to the villagers. Now our villagers are 165% more HP. If you combine with all those Age 1 cards that we talked about. Paki Keda. Military buildings cost 50% less resources. So now you can spam barracks and stables that only cost 100 wood. Yay. Almost like Grand Colombian Wars of Liberty. Except the villains arm weaker now. Great. Palace Workshop. Artillery train rate reduced by 50%. So that's basically engineering school, but with the new icon and name, basically, right? Yeah. But oh, wait. You get that too down here. Yeah. You get that too down here. And this one actually works even better than this one, just so you know. Yeah, so you're fully aware. Kaiser Ihin. Mercenaries arrive, train, and move faster. Plus one villager. So villagers train super fast, they move faster, and they arrive there. It's kind of similar to the Dutch States Army card, except it's for the Indians and it's available in age earlier too. I think statistically it is a bit weaker to fit the balance, but still, even more variety for you. Considering all the stuff you can ship down here, this is pretty good. Das Stock Rights. East India Company units cost 10% less. Really nice. Plays deeply into your East India Company gameplay if you choose to do that. Very good. Regulating Act. Small trickle of export enriches you. So you already have one in age 1. Combine this one with it. Now you got a export trickle rate of 1 per second. Heck, you don't even need those T-farms at this point. No, you still do, but it definitely helps you out a whole lot. Chokidari allows Towadars to be trained at Chokris, basically your outposts. So now when you set up an outpost on the map, your Chokis, now you can train sepoys from them. Great. Very great. Boulan Darwaza. You gain XP for each enemy building in you have killed so far. So if you've turned into Genghis Khan or Tamerlane on the map, now you can drown them with even more shipments. That feels really nice, doesn't it? Team Coastal Defenses, Privateers, Mohibers. So you do have a Mohiber shipment option here. So, the Ottomans, right? They have the Mohiber instead of the spy. If somebody is like spamming mercenaries and explorers at you or whatever weird combo like that, now you can ship something to deal with that. Really good. Really good stuff. Tabarax notably increases the melee damage of Commandars and Degandas. Commandar cavalry archers inflict area damage. And yeah, so it's kind of similar to the card that the Russians get, but now it affects the Indians, yeah. And the Tabarax, as you know, is basically that big poleaxe thing that the dervishes use in Moore's Liberty. So yeah, a lot of flavor there, basically. Yantliki Abienatriki. So just renamed engineering school. Combined with this, our artillery is already training 80% faster now. 80% faster training artillery, folks. Imagine if we could get instantly training falconets and, blast the enemy's base instantly like that. Oh, God. Yeah, well, I told you that now that India has like a real artillery foundry, they get a lot of cannons now, so this goes a lot deeper than you realize, folks. It's not just siege elephants anymore, we got all sorts of weapons. Pretty scary. And now we get on to all the sort of like the shippable units. The first one is the Burmese Amudans. These are Burmese shield and sword units, kind of like Burmese Rodoros. We got the Manipuri Arambais. These are the same Arambais we have in AoE 2, folks. These guys will throw darts at you, and they're sort of like dragoons. Yeah. The cool thing is, he actually did, actually go through the work of making them look good, so you actually see them throwing actual darts and stuff instead of just javelins. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, and you can see the dart in their hand as well. Yeah, no, this developer actually did, model and texture his units and stuff correctly, so it's not just a bunch of show on the icons. The units look the part as well, which is really, really awesome. He took that stuff seriously, which I really like. One thing we can say about this developer, if you saw my stream earlier from his AoE 2 mod, he takes the art very seriously, so it's never lacking. And I think that's a big reason why I endorse this mod so much, is because the art is good, the level of content is exceptional. Yeah, he kind of did a lot of good stuff. And I might joke about some of the balance stuff, but hey, at least it's a beautiful Civ. It's an absolutely breathtaking Civ, and I love the quality that went into it. So I will always sort of like say this guy did a good job here. Yeah. But now we're on Shivaji's Baganaks. These are just like re-icon and re-textured and renamed Tiger Claws. Yeah. And then you got the Sikh Chakram Throwers, one of the few units that didn't even change name at all. Same rules, same stats. Similar case here, we got the Repentant Dacoits. Yeah, ships 10 Dacoits for 1,000 gold. I can't say that that's, in a weird way, that actually is accurate, because in Age of Empires 3, outlaws are supposed to be very expensive in it and inefficient in cost and pop space. So having it cost 1,000 gold is actually not a bad thing from Age of Empires 3 meta accuracy standpoint. It is a good shipment though, and from what you've seen, there was just so many eco cards for this Civ that it's not hard to come by 1,000 gold to ship in about 10 dacoits on top of all this other stuff, But then we get this here, 25 Santhal Hools. The Hools are basically Indian Arrow Knights from they're Santhal. I don't know what Santhal is, but they're Hools. They're cool in their Hool. 25 Arrow Knights. Now this one always gives me the creeps, because it's like you could be running all this stuff and your enemy could be holding the fort somehow, and then you come in with these and then you just like nuking their towers and their walls and they're melting their TCs from long range. That's why I think the real problem starts to come. Yeah. Then you have 12 Konyak Nagas. Naga warrior armed with the Dao and ceremonial spear. Good against cav and heavy infantry. So basically statistically the same as the Zapotecs. Yeah, basically Zapotecs. And then you got 10 Ceylon Bondicula Las Calins. Plus 1 villager. A Sinhala gunner with low hit points but a long range attack. Basically a skirmisher shipment. This gives you 8 skirms. This will give you a 10. I think these are more close to European skirms if I remember correctly. Yeah. But then you got the Bhutanese Pazaps, Bhutanese sword and buckler infantry. So now that I think of it, these might be the Roderos and these might be the Coyote Runners. Yeah, if I remember correctly. I will ship them in too so you can look at them later on. So don't worry about that. 5 Pilban Elephants. Ships 5 Indian heavy war elephants. So basically the war elephants from the 5th edition, just a new icon, new name. Pretty much exactly just that. I think in this case, you actually have to pay quite a bit for it. Yeah, no. 1,000 coin. Yeah, it's still good. And then you get 10 Repentant Thuggies. For some reason, this one's actually cheaper than all this other stuff. It's only like 750 gold. And 10 Thuggies shipping is actually pretty good. You know how statistically significant Thuggies are, right? I think Sam Rev or someone back in the day joked about them as being the Indian Abyss guns or something. Even though this Indian Civ literally gets Abyss guns now. But yeah, that's pretty nice. And then you have 10 Tiger Cannons. Basically Indian Moritaros. Yeah, these are literally Moritaros, so they have all the same stats and everything as the Moritaros. You combine that with this, and the enemy's base is no more. Like, you will be, like, nuking buildings from long range very easily. Yeah. And then you have a Goshians, Isketic Lancer that can dismount to become a spearman. So, think like the mountain infantry for the House of Habsburg. Let's take that concept and turn it into, like, a Lancer and Pikeman combo for the unit. And it ships, for some reason it ships the unit in its different forms too, which I find a little weird. He should just ship it in one form and then you can switch it over if you want. I would prefer if he like changed this to have them all be the mountain Gozines And then, God forbid, I want the spearman, I'll just switch him over on the fly. But I think what he was thinking was, God forbid you're being rushed somehow being rushed when you're like shipping armies this size. You can like have some of the spearmen already ready to go. So, I'm not going to complain about that. And then you have 10 Nihangs. Sea cavalry armed with the lance for extra range, good against skirms, and can hold its own against cavalry. So, kind of like a Shanaka rider, right? Yeah. That's not all. We got the floating lake. Using floating garden methods, your villagers gather food from mills and boats from fish and whales faster. So, basically, the Aztecs' eco-native tech now transferred to India. And apparently costs the same resources as the card from the Day of Settlement. So, yeah, I guess we're paying penance for having so many cards, I guess, stacking the eco. So, that's good. And then you get flooded parcel. As you saw in Age 1, we get all the Japanese rickshaw rice paddy cards. So, this is just the second one. Then you got Duladan. Villager cost change from wood to gold. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Now, one thing I'm going to note to you that's very important, and I don't know if the developer, like, fixed this yet. Basically, if you send this, and then you send this, you will end up with a villager that costs 100 food and 100 gold. Which is very bad. Because I don't see on here any mention of removing the food cost from the villager either. So, I just want to make that a red flag to the developer and any players here. Try not to like combine this with this. Not that you would. It would be very counterintuitive, but if you do, you might end up with a villager that's basically so expensive you lose the match. Yeah. Now, moving on from there, this is probably one of the most brutal cards you can send. One of the scariest cards you can send. So what it is, it's called Team Kohinoor. A discovery of magnificent Kohinoor provides your team with 2,000 XP points. Why is that big? You know what this is? This is mercantilism. It's mercantilism that is free to get. You don't have to pay any gold for it. It's free. It just costs a shipment. And it's a team card. So, you know the printing press card for like the Danish, right? In Wars of Liberty, it like gives everybody a shipment. This thing gives everybody mercantilism at the start of the game. And that gives everybody like 3 to 4 cards that they can send. It's so good that you could send it yourself outside of a team deck and it would still be good. Like, you get like 3 to 4 cards and then you can send 3 to 4 of these things. Back to back to back to back. On top of the shipments you already got, maybe, because you got the trade route. Wow. Now, here's another one you can send with all the lovely XP you just got with this. Team Bali Jatra. Gives everybody on the team 6 Javanese spearmen and a setbang cannon. Wow. So, if you're like in a 3v3 or 4v4 and you're like trying to rush somebody, you know, it's a great way to like get a rush going. Literally have a combined army of like 4 cannons and like 24 spearmen between the 4 players. And they all coordinate together. Yeah, no, I like this one. It's pretty cool because it gives you like a little Indonesian revolt army without having to do an Indonesian revolt. It's kind of funny. Yeah. Maratha Pillagers. Ships gold crates worth equivalent to 50% of cost of buildings you have raised so far. That's a mouthful. So what that means is it takes the wood and other costs of the buildings you've killed, right, from the enemy. It takes 50% of that and then gives you gold crates equivalent to that. So let's just say you destroyed about 5 barracks and maybe 2 houses, right? That would make the amount of siege that you got done worth like 1,200 wood, right? Cut that in half. Now you're going to get coin crates of 600. So half of 1,200. Basically, I'm a math professor that understands this stuff perfectly. Yeah. I don't have to take linear algebra and calculus 2 again. Please don't make me do that. Yeah, no. I'm already having PTSD again. Thank you very much. Yeah, so now we are looking at this card here called Indentured Labor. Villagers are 50% cheaper, but 75% weaker. Okay, so we've been talking the whole time about all the cards that give our villagers hit points, right? So basically, if you sent all those and then you sent this card afterwards, you probably wouldn't even notice a significant difference in your villager's stats because they would already have like over double the HP of a standard villager, right? Maybe even triple the HP. So sending a card like this, the villager would just be might even be still stronger than this standard vill. Just saying. Yeah, but if you send this card without any of that, then you might have some problems. Well, not really, you know. It's kind of like a play on the Bolivian Civ for Wars of Liberty, where their villagers are essentially super cheap and spammable and stuff, but they're also very weak. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then moving on, new animals. 10 Burrell sheep. So 10 herdables for the team. And then you have 10 hornbills. Gives everybody hornbills. Now, I don't know if these are like scouting units, are they like combat units, are they herdables, what are they? But there is a lot of animals here, yeah. And we also get trees. So you can get an infinite shipment here of mango trees. Transforms into a mango tree for food, wood, and XP production. You can get the lemon trees for food, wood, and XP. And then banana trees. Banana gives you food and XP production. So I don't know what the rates are between these, between the lemon tree and the mango, but it does look like the banana only deals with food and XP. Yeah. Now we're on the Fortress Age cards. Pretty hefty list here. Wow. Now things start to get interesting because now most of these shipments give us 2 units instead of 1. So kind of like the Central American cards in Wars of Liberty that give you sort of a mix of stuff. Only these cards were actually brutal. Yeah. Let's go through the list. First one, knock these swivel gun support. Gives you 8 Bittergerber Giselles and 2 Bittergerber Plungis. So 2 Abyss guns and 8 essentially Gurkhas. So it's like an 8 Gurkha and 2 Abyss gun shipment. Pretty good, huh? Literally 8 Giselle cheese with 2 Abyss guns. That's pretty strong. It'd be like having Wars of Liberty Afghans give you like 2 Zambaraks and 8 Giselle cheese. It would be pretty nice. Moving on, you got Sipahis mixed contingent. You get 12 Dakalis and 10 Borchas. So you get 10 spearmen and 12 archers, 10 longbowmen essentially. So think of like the adventurer politician for the vanilla civs and basically make that triple as big. Yeah. Next one, Royal Rahila forces. Gives you 12 Toladars and 6 Shamsher units. The Toradars, again, are your sepoys. The Shamshers are sort of like your coyote runners. So, kind of like a Hussar musket comp, in a way. Except it has more of an emphasis on the anti-cav part of the formation, yeah. Cavalry in Gurharab Flotilla. Ships 3 Gurlab ships. I don't know about the cavalry part. There's no cavalry there. It's just boats. Probably one of the more milder cards you can send. And then you have Shatagni Volley Fire. 6 Punji Top guns. Punji Tops are Indian organ guns. 6 organ guns. 6 organ guns without any gold cost. Wow. 6 organ guns. I think, yeah, that makes the Portuguese look like nothing. God. 6 organ guns, yeah. I'm serious. That's like brutal. Saladar's advance. Ships 10 Bartka plus 10 Qatar infantry. So it gives you 10 spearmen and 10 Rajputs, essentially. So multiple anti-cav units in the same shipment. Right. And then you have Mysore's finest warriors. Gives you 8 Arumi and 6 Betajerba Bandars. The Bandars are the hand rocketeers that I talked about. So you essentially get a good siege trooper with like 8 Arumis in one shipment. we referenced the Bundars in Age 1, remember? Because that card in Age 1 actually cheapens them a bit. So, yeah, this is like an infantry army's worst nightmare. Both like range, cavalry, both range, infantry, slaughtering power, and close range too. So, these shipments are curated to be really disgusting to enemies. Yeah. Regulars of the 4G Kaz, 6 Jazales and 6 Shamshers. So this gives you 6 Skirms, 6 Jazelchis with 6 Shamshers, 6 Coyote Runners. Very good. And then the next one, Sawar e Nazam Contingent. Ship 7 Commandars and 1 Mahout Elephant. So essentially this is like a big beefy cavalry shipment, where the main emphasis is on like the little army of the Coyote Runners, but they do throw in an elephant as well, which is pretty good. Travancore Coastal Security, 6 armed Ketuvalam ships. So yeah, basically your fishing ships is India now have some combat ability, which is pretty good. Yeah, quite nice. Next ship in here, Gorkhali's Steel Resolve. Ships 10 Kukli and 10 Qatars. So it essentially gives you 10 Roderos and 10 Rajputs. So another sort of Spearman Wombo combo card. Just like the one we just saw over here, this one. Yep. Yeah, there's all sorts of wonderful surprises we got here, right? Yeah, no kidding. Kalinga's Forest Sentinels. Ships 8 Kun plus 2 Mahout Elephants. So basically a big stack of cavalry. Yep. Kosti's Mixed Contingent. Ships 6 Jazales and 8 Chok Crossbowmen. So 2 different Afghan skirmish units, yep. Gives you 6 of the Beta Jorba Jazales and 8 of the Beta Jarbi Shaks. Yes, you get basically 2 skirmisher units from Afghanistan here, which is pretty cool. Yeah, because it is covering a more earlier part of history. So it's covering the Mughal period before sort of the Marn armies and musketeers and stuff, which is pretty nice. But moving on, we got the Balok Mercenaries. Ships 6 Unt and 4 Boj Cavalry. So essentially gives you 6 of the Sawars and then another hand cavalry there that we haven't gone over yet. You got Kangali Pak Tengul. Gives you 10 Dakali archers and 1 Mahout. So big army of archers and then a Mahout to combine with them. Plays into sort of like the Gurkha Mahout ranked composition he used to always do, basically. Yeah. And then right over here we got Team Durgaz Cannon Foundry. Team Artillery Train time reduced by 30%. So combine that with those cards we saw in Age 2. For you, you would be instantly training artillery. Yeah, pretty much. And then over here we got the Sundarbans Revenue Patrol. Fishing boats plus 50%. Very nice. Team Queen Province of India. Team plus 8 ranged infantry resistance team wide. Basically what this does, it takes all your sort of like musket skirms, rocketeers, abyss guns, plants them about 8% armor in the form of pierce to them. So now they'll actually be a bit more durable. Yeah. Team Arabian Sea Trade Defense. Ships gain 10% HP. Team Badi Clans Desert Combat. Team improves camel movement speed by 10%. This is only going to be good if you're only a handful of civs, right? If you're obviously another India, if you are one of the African civs, like the Hausa or the Ethiopians, and you get access to some sort of camel unit like the Gablin camels or the Berber camel cavalry. That's where this is going to sort of come into play. Obviously, if you mix this somehow with Age of the World and do it with like the Moroccan civ or the Egyptians, now you're going to have much more applicability to this card. Yeah, pretty much that. Team Peshwa's Sanad of Service. Team plus 8% HP for melee infantry team wide. Very nice. This is going to help your infantry become very durable. Yeah. Team Fath ul Mushadin Doctrine. Team plus 10% gunpowder attack team wide. So this is all your gunpowder units. Next one. Team Guru's Langar Provisions. Team plus 50% healing rate for all monks. Yeah, this is a lot of team cards. Like, this is a lot of support that you're giving your allies in terms of stats. Team Asaf Jah's Covenant. Team plus 10% cavalry speed team wide. Very nice. Plus 10% movement speed. Team Pepper Coast Trade. Everybody gets 10% faster moving boats. Team Sadar's Oath of Unity. Plus 8% infantry movement speed. Team Gajapati's Fealty. Team plus 10% melee damage team wide. Team Gandhar Trade Intelligence. Plus 10% line of sight for range infantry. Team Indus River Logistics. Plus 10% cavalry speed, allowing you to move around a bit better. And then Team Bhartmaputra River Supply. Team plus 10% elephant speed and hit points. So really only good if you're either India or you're Ethiopia aligned with the Indians. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then from then on, you basically just got a bunch of vanilla cards, your crates, your town rickshaw, British East India Company. Obviously, this was changed a bit. They did drop the Gurkha, obviously, since the Gurkha is no longer in here, but it does affect the Toradars, your Sepoy equivalent, and your Unt, the Sawar equivalent, right? Elephant combat, you got your tame elephants, you got your native warrior combat here. Actually, no, your native warrior hit points, same as the other Asian civs. Also, you got your native crafts, hill castle, intervention, foreign trading companies, Royal Mint, and then we get a whole new set of like gold costing shipments. Again, you got the Burmese Almadans, this time an infinite shipment. Same with the Arambai, same with the Bagnak Tiger Claws, same with the Chakram Throwers, the Dacoits, the Huls, the Konyak Nagas, the Ceylon Bondikula Laskalins, the Bhutanese Pazaps, Pirban Elephants, the Thugis, Tiger Cannons, the Hangs, Gosains, and then down here you got Privateer Fleet, Team Cavalry Attack. This is a card we normally see in Age 2 for, what, the French usually? Yeah, I think it's the French. Now you get this in Fortress Ages India, so you can take all the 10 or so or even more cavalry units you have with this civ, and now they're all going to be better, on top of all the cav of your teammates too. Yeah. Team Great Trigonometry Etric Survey, and Usury. Remember that you get your own type of the Lombards called the Thekas now. So now you can use usury with the two to be able to generate the coin while you're trading the resources with it, which is pretty nice. Yeah, and from then on, we got a whole new set of unit shipments to do. And now we will look at this new set of unit shipments here, right? So the first one is 10 Mukhbears. This one you already know about, basically the Ottoman spies pretty much. Now a bigger shipment of them than the one you get in H2 is India. Then you get 3 Angyabans. Angyabans, these are basically British rockets. Yep, Mysorean heavy rocket artillery that fires a rocket and is good against infantry or buildings. You get the Barkandas guns. These are essentially Indian Sebastopols. Yeah, Indian Sebastopols, folks. Pretty insane, right? Yeah, no, most definitely. Essentially, you'll be able to use these to like destroy many units and buildings at the same time. You got your one Berlagun gun, Nepali early automatic fire weapon. So Nepal based Gatling gun shipment. So if you like Gatling guns, get this. I do say though, I wish they gave you some more of them, unless it's a strong unit. Just saying. This is reasonable number in this too, but maybe buff this one up a bit. 10 Shorelinena Armored Champions. Rajput powerful swordsman that inflicts area damage in hand combat. So it's a splash damage unit. 15 Digandas Grenadiers. Mughal heavy grenade throwing infantrymen that is effective against buildings and artillery, but more vulnerable to infantry and cavalry. So basically Indian Humbarasis, yeah. 10 Konkani Hitkalis. Konkani warrior firing a powerful old musket. I don't know why the old part matters, but moving on. 20 Courtier Javelineers. So good against cavalry or buildings. Yep, these are essentially I believe these are based on the I think they're based on the Holcon Javelineers, if I remember correctly. Yeah. 15 Maratha Puneri Mawalis. Maratha slow heavy infantry with a large attack. 20 Odia Paika Kandayats. These are essentially Rodelros, another Rodeller variant. And then you have the Repentant Pindaris. These are just arsonists, Decani pillagers. Also you have Polygar Nayaks, Vijayanagalan Lancers with dual armor and a powerful large charge attack. So kind of similar to the Lafidi Knights in a way. 10 Rohila Pathans, Afghan hand cavalry armed with cold steel, basically a hussar. The Dantasatla elephants that swings a mace for area damage. So yeah, basically kind of like a big Mahout shipment, basically. Then you have the Jaivani cannon. This is sort of like a little bombard. And then you have another one here called the Domadal cannon. So you got two different types of bombards here with very different stats. And then you have the Foz Ikaz, Sikh infantry, very sturdy but slow training. Essentially, I think they're kind of similar. I can't remember. I think they're a little similar to the Soldados, but I can't remember exactly. But they are definitely different than your other muskets. Team seasonal labor. Yep, everybody gets 2 cows, 200 wood, and 2 villagers. Terrace hillsides, Japanese rice paddy card, and then you get some new cards here too. So you get Bengal expedition. Ships a town rickshaw with 1+1 to Pagana build limit. Makes Dakali, Mahout, and Howda upgrades 50% cheaper. Deccan expedition. Ships a town rickshaw with 1 Pagana build limit. So your Pagana is your town center, just so you know. So it's actually allowing you to have more TCs, just like the Middle Eastern Citadel cards for Wars of Liberty. This one will cheapen your upgrades for the Barcha Qatar and Danpada. Similarly, this one, Kashmir Expedition, does the same thing, but for Jazales, Kamandars, and Zambaraks. This one, the Sind Expedition, does it for Shamsherbaz und Buj. This one here, the Agra Fort, ships a fort builder with +1 Quilla build limit. So the Quilla is essentially an Agra Fort. Agra Fort is no longer a wonder, it's just a standard building that India gets. And by sending cards like Agra Fort, Allahabad Fort, and Lahore Fort, you actually increase the build limit on your Agra Forts, so to speak, so that you can have multiple ones. Yeah. This Civ is like pretty scary when you think about it. Like, you get all these new constant options, but then the Agra Fort is dropped off and just turned into like a standard building that you can spam by basically making wagons for them at the town center. Yeah. So you don't even need your Explorer for it, which is pretty sweet. Now we just have to go through the last set of cards here, and then we can get into like sort of gameplay mechanics. First one here, Faftula Shilazi barrel boring, +4 range for top cannons. So, yep, essentially your artillery gives it +4 range. Morshed Quali's recruitment, +15% training speed for archers, basically your Dakhalis. Sayyids of Nishapur, +4 Plengi range. So the Plengi is your Abyss guns, adds +4 range on the Abyss guns. Zambarak gun carriage, +20% attack for Zambaraks. Hathi's iron plate armor, plus 20% HP and 10% melee resist for Mahouts, making them really dangerous at that point. Ganimi Kava Guerrilla Arts, +20% attack speed for Katars, so improves their rate of fire. Congreve Rocket Fire, +25 attack for Bandar units, so your hand rocketeers that we talked about before, gives them +25% attack. Topkana's Great Foundry, +4 gunpowder unit range, so musket skirms, benefits all that. Plus Kwanu Nagu's land reform, +20% Mahout elephant attack speed, so improves the rate of fire of your Mahouts. Nightmare fuel. Ishava Karlani tradition, +15% ship line of sight and speed. Amar Singh's legacy, +20% Kukri HP and melee attack, so essentially a combat card for your Kukris, your Rodelros. Kandayat Paika Gurmala, +20% coin speed and melee resist. Ranjit's Firearm Mastery, Giselle +4 range and +25% damage. So your Giselchis go to a 24 range skirmisher, same as the Longbowman, making them feel much more like the Wars of Liberty Giselchis we all know and love, right? Yep. Camel Rider Fortitude, +20% Camel HP and armor, so their armor goes up, their HP goes up. Bodo Warrior Traditions, +4 Dakhali range, +20% Mahout HP. Range attack. I thought the Dakhali was a melee unit. Oh yeah, that's right. The Dakhali is the archer, right? That's right. There's so many units I'm forgetting what I'm looking at this point. Yeah, so our archers go up to like, what is it, like 30 range or something? So they're already outranging Arrow Knights. Go down to here, you got Artillery Master's Discipline, +20% attack and HP for top artillery. Mughal Nawala Cannonade, +20% attack for Dao and Amla-e Nawala. So Navy. Legacy of Sher Shah, +15% Shamsar damage, so now they do more damage. Your KA runners. Naval Squadron Dispatch, +15% speed and rate of fire for Dakhalis. So now they shoot faster and... Oh, geez. And then makes your ships move faster. I don't know. No, it affects the build rate of the archers. I think he might have bugged that one a bit. I don't know. Ustad's Chivalric Code, +15% melee damage for Butcha and Danpada. So I think that's some of your navy. Or it could be some of your units that I already forgot about because there's so many of them. Pata Sword Training, +15% melee damage bonus. So, yep, basically for your Danpadas, your Betajurbas, train under French banner, +10% infantry speed and line of sight. So this affects every infantry unit. Kausaz Peshawar Wall, +15% infantry and cavalry HP. Good value. The Verlangi's Dragoons, +15% mounted unit attack, so all cavalry. The Monsoon's Compass, +20% naval attack for all your ships. Let me move this up here so I can see what I'm doing. Previs Hill Campaign, plus 15% infantry melee resistance. Blacksmith's Dokla Craft, plus 50% damage for Kund. Shah's Camel Artillery Doctrine, plus 20% Zambarak attack. Indus Delta Shipwrights, plus 50% naval damage for Dao. Megalion Archery Tradition, plus 20% Dao speed and attack. So your Dao swordsman, this stats him up a bit. 6 infinite shipment for volley cannon resupply. Ships 4 Gajnals per shipment. So it's an infinite shipment for 4 siege elephants. Totally free, you don't have to pay food for it. Pretty good. Pretty good, I think. This is an infinite shipment that gives you 1 Amla-i-Nawari, essentially a cannon boat for the Indians. An infinite shipment that gives you about 6 Anupavin Pudbijas. I think these are Indian Kejiks, I believe, or something similar. Basically a horse archer that you normally get at the castle. An infinite shipment of 1 Ganj-i-Sawai, basically a heavy boat for India. This is an infinite shipment called Sisodia's Perpetual Vow. Gives you 8 Bochas and 3 Unts. So an infinite shipment of 8 Spearmen and 3 Sawars. This is an infinite shipment called Mawawi Maratha Contingent. 10 Danpada Cavalry, so one of your cav units. I think it's a Gunpowder Dragoon or a Lancer, I believe. Chevel's Perpetual Volley, an infinite shipment of 5 Pitajerba Bandars. This is an infinite shipment that gives us like 4 Falconettes. General Ventura's Battalion. So this is like a beastly shipment here. Just telling you. This one here, infinite for Falaknuma Treasury Guard. 4 Howdas. No food still, by the way. You don't have to pay any food for this. Kunjali's Naval Command. An infinite shipment with 2 Dows. So 2 of the ships that the Africans get, basically. Infinite shipment. This is an infinite shipment called Shah's Perpetual Army. Gives you a Kukri and a Tobadars. Or Toradars. So about 8 Rodilros and about 8 Sepoys. So that's a really nice late game anti-cavalry solution. You also get the infinite shipment Gorjad Elephant Reserve, an infinite shipment of 5 Mahouts. And then you have an infinite shipment called Durrani's Perpetual Levy. So it gives you an infinite shipment of 8 Gizelchis and 4 Zembaraks. So skirmish and dragoon together. Very nice. Bouj Corps reinforcements. An infinite shipment gives you 10 Bouj cavalry per shipment. So essentially your Hussard units. And then you get this one. Infinite shipment called Pukan's Reserve Forces. So it gives you 8 Dao and 6 Dakari. So really all anti-cav. Now we got our Age 4 wood cards. Town rickshaws, professional handlers, Mughal elephant armors. This affects all the new elephants, by the way. Shivaji's Tactics, improved warships. D. Robinson's Balloon. Basically advanced hot air balloons for you. Infinite shipment of an ironclad. That's pretty scary. You also get Battleship Infinite too, so you can get Battleship, you can get ironclad. You get a lot of options. Koida Kadan gives you 2 coal prospectors, and villagers can gather 2 times as faster on coal. You can send as many. You can only send it once, though, just so you know. You do get the poker card too. So this is the one that adds 3 new mercenaries to your Thekas. And then it's an infinite shipment that will send you 13 random mercenaries in constant progression. So if you want to spam that, go for it. Now we got infinite shipments here. So you got the one for the rockets, the one for the Sebastopol, the Gatling gun, the Sharina Armored Champions, basically the Doppels. These are the Humbarasi one, the one for the old musket, the old senile musket, Kotor Javelinier one, the Ponori Malawi one, the Paiki Kandiat one, the Pandaris, the Nayaks. Yeah, so essentially it's all the units we saw in Age, all the units we saw in like Age 3 that were just single shipments. These would be the infinite shipment options if you wanted to get them. Yeah. You get infinite Maidani top builder, so essentially you get a fixed gun shipment too. So you can use fixed guns with this Civ as well if it didn't get any scarier. This is an infinite shipment to get like a Wakao junk with 10 petards aboard as an infinite shipment. Very dangerous. This is an infinite shipment to get rattan shields. Covenant chain. This is an infinite shipment here that gives you 2 heavy cannons, 3 harquebusiers, 4 hounders, and 4 Irish brigadiers. Kind of scary. Shipping supplies, of course, from the Maltese. Shipments called Kijig guards. Ships about 16 guard upgraded Kijiks to you. 9 Sufi allies, so you get infinite Sufi. So you do get some late game native shipments to ship in. Now, these are the cards I need to give you some context for. The Portuguese Companhia de India, the English East India Company, Finlandije Ostindije Companhia, Dansk Ondisk Compagnie, Frances Compagnie de Indies, Svenska Oskandiska Kompaniet, and then Österlelashki on the Indian Compagnie. So these are all cards that will give you a fort called a company fort. It's a fort that will give you free East India Company muskets and hand cav, but it reduces your villagers' gather rate by 30% for each one you got. So if you want to send all of these, your economy will go limp and dead, but you'll have a ton of free units, plus forts to protect your base. So you're essentially sacrificing your nation's freedom to get a bunch of free units. Kind of a cool mechanic. I mean, it is pretty good, so I can't tell you to not get it, and it doesn't cost any resources to get it, obviously, so don't worry. Once your economy's dead, you won't have to pay to get the R1s. Yeah. Subsidiary alliance. Allows colonial marauders to be trained at company forts and shokis. So now the company forts, as well as your towers, will be able to make colonial gunslingers, looters, swashbucklers, oppressors, and officers. So you'll be able to make 5 different sort of like outlaw units from them, which is quite good. Delhi Fort. Ships 1 fort builder and 1 town rickshaw with +1 Kola and 1 Pergana build limit. So essentially gives you an Agra fort wagon and a town square wagon and ups their build limits by 1. So kind of combining sort of a synthesis of the stuff we saw in Fortress Age just as 1 card. And finally, we top it off with red pandas. Because who doesn't love a cute red panda? I surely do. Alright, so now that we're done with that, now we get to look at like the gameplay mechanics, and this is where the fun really begins. So we're going to use a ton of cheat codes to, we'll actually switch AI to the India Civ, so it's kind of brain dead, it doesn't attack us. But yeah, the bot does not know how to do any of this new stuff, so he'll just go, and just sit there blandly in the back and mind his own business, which is good. So yeah, basically we want all these settings on so we can basically let him stay in Age 1 while we sort of build stuff and talk about stuff. Really, this is going to be about basically going over all the units and stuff that you have here. And I'm going to pick essentially, I'm trying to find which one to get. Because there's a lot of decks I put in here, right? No, most definitely. I put a lot of... No, these are all my vanilla decks. I'm trying to find the one that I need here. Let's do this one first. This is the standard one that I send. So basically what you want to do is send your 2 cheat codes. A whole lot of love, and then speed always wins, so we can like get a ton of and age up quick. And these are your villagers, by the way, your ryots. So if you look closely, they all look new. Like they look at all their new textures and stuff. They all look unique. Look at all the different all the women come in like 3 different varieties now. It's pretty good. Actually, 4 different. Yeah, look at all the different builds that you get here. It's pretty nice. Even their houses are named differently to the Havelis. Yeah. I just want to show you well. Yep. Even more villager variants. It's kind of look at all these villagers. So many of them, right? So let's start building some wonders, shall we? So these are the new wonders. You got the Koj Minar. It's basically a scouting-based wonder that you can. It's a huge tower, right? You build this tower. It does one main thing. So let's build it like super quickly here. There we go. It basically gives you a huge line of sight around the thing. So look at what it just gave us. Look at this line of sight, and then it just goes away. It's very similar to the Buddha statue of the Japanese, but instead of giving you the enemy's line of sight, it just gives you a huge arc of the map, basically. Which is pretty funny. The sacred field is now called the Nandi, and we get new animals that we can make from it. So we can make the sacred cows. They look like zebus now, so they have like their own sort of model now, which is pretty nice. You got monkeys. You can make a monkey and you can put him here. Little monkey. You can make an elephant and put him here. You can make a peafowl or a peacock. Put them there, right? They have the. They got both the male and the female. Look at them. Look at the female ones. Awesome, man. That's beautiful, dude. Very beautiful. You got your buffalo. Very nice. More buffalo, and then you have camel. Your camel. Yep. You can put these all on here. Very nice, right? Oh, yeah. No, totally. Yeah. So, let's show you what the theka is. The theka is this here. This is the theka. It's a whole new building. Essentially, what it does is does 3 things. It lets you make your outlaws and mercenaries, plus mohibers. You can make mohibers from it. I didn't even remember that, but that's another thing you can do is you can actually get spies from it. It lets you exchange your resources, basically, like that, which is pretty nice. It also lets you train food herdables, too. So not only do you have the animals that can go into the sacred field, but rightfully so, this India civ actually portrayed that Indians aren't vegans, that they actually eat meat. Yep, so you can make chickens. Big army of chickens here. Bark, bark. Look at all the chickens. So you can make your chicken tikka masala, and then you got goats, so you can have some goat meat, too. You can eat these herdables. Yep, you can wait for them to fan. I don't think there's a way you can actually fan them, though, until you send the Dutch to get a livestock pen. Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to send the Dutch to get a livestock pen, then you can actually fan them up and eat them, which is pretty nice. Yep, it's good to know that you have herdable functionality now that you didn't have before. Yeah, we'll prove it. Like, oh, look, these Indian villagers are eating meat. Oh no, Buddha would not be proud. Yep, he's eating the meat. Yep. Let's save our animal friends for now. Okay. Yep. All right. So now we will show you what the shoki is. This is your tower. Look at how beautiful this tower looks. By the way, it makes the flag bearer, which is a nice little support unit you can add to your rank with it, basically. They don't cost any pop space. It says, bears the Mughal flag just for cosmetic. Can explore map and absorb some damage. Okay, so it's even the developer admitted that it's a useless unit. Build it for fun, I guess, is what he's saying. And yes, they might be able to stop a cannonball or something too, so. Yeah, kind of funny. What else do we got here? We got our barracks, right? Now called the Paidgan. Our stable is now called the Astabal and has an elephant instead of a camel. Here's our foundry here, called the Topkana. This is what the Indian artillery foundry looks like, and then you have your castle still called the Gor. Yeah. Then you have your consulate too. I'm just thinking of all the stuff that you might want to know about. And then we're going to probably start right away training like actual military and showing them to you and what they do. But to do that, we'll probably need to get to like industrial age, right? So I'll show you the two other new wonders. You got the Kedarnath. This is the Kedarnath right here. This essentially gives you an ability where villagers will regenerate health when they're hurt, which is pretty nice. And then the other one you got is the Sancti Stupa. The Sancti Stupa is basically, you know that European native site that balances out your stockpile? That's what this does, basically. So if you send it, it gives you equal of all resources. Very nice. Yeah, let's start making some military so you understand how big this civ is. So, we got the Betajorba Toadar, the Betajorba Baka, the Betajorba Dakali, the Betajorba Shamsher, the Betajorba Giselle, and the Betajorba Qatar. And then from the stable, you got the Betajorba Unt, the Betajorba Commander, the Betajorba Buj, the Betajorba Mahout, the Betajorba Danpata, which I need more pop space for. Necesito mucha casa. This one, right? The Danpata. And then the Hauda. And then from the foundry, we need some more space already. Let's build some more houses down, right? Totally. And also, we can get upgrades for these outposts too, by the way. Ah, it gets even taller. Look at that. Now it's like really tall. We already looked at these, right? Let's look at the foundry now. What can we get? We can get the Betajorba Plungi, the Betajorba Top, the Betajorba Zambalak, the Betajorba Punchjob, the Punchajorba Gajnal, and the Betajorba Bandar. And then from the castle, we need a little bit more housing space, I think. We got the, what is it here? We got the Betajorbi Shark, the Anubi Vihavin Kokri, the Ondodiv Gakun, the Anu Pavamalam Orlumi, the Andiva Dao, and the Anu Hihabin Poliba. So essentially our trainable roster is about 24 units, not including the units that we can ship in, right? So we got a pretty hefty roster. Let's actually send all these units together so we can... And we also have to build some other things too. We need to build this. We have to go to Imperial Age for that. Let me get another cheat code. I would say the one thing you'll notice is the Victory Tower is renamed to the Vijay Samd. Everything else is named the same as before. Let's build that quick. Okay. So in Imperial Age, you also get your own capital building too, called the Darbar. It contains a lot of the capital functionalities, plus allows you to make your Mansabdars for the relevant units. And then Badshah, last of India's emperors. So he's another later unit you can make, which is pretty sweet. Yep. So here he is. Yep, this is the Shah right here. He can't fight or anything, but he can do all this stuff. He's got these auras. Passive ability, regenerates hit points when idle. Ganga Jamuni Tajib, a small chance to evade enemy attacks, 15%. And then Din Al-Idia, monks near Shadba have double HP. And these are his abilities. He quickly heals all units. Summons 2 villagers to designated spot. Hamna. So yep, save some villagers. Zat rank promotion. Increases the hit points of allied soldiers for 30 seconds. Right here. So now they're all buffed up and stuff and more durable. Oh yeah, no, he's a cool level support unit you can have. And these are the Mansabdars here. So he will buff up some of your troops basically. They're sort of like commander units. Quite good. Yep, most definitely. Yep, this one is the Pygon one, so he's based on the Pygon. This one is the Astrobal one, so he's based on Dragoons. Yep. Yeah, as you can see, their stats are indeed buffed up and everything. Yep. These are your explorers, by the way, the Dilwan and the Wizar. Basically the same as the elephants, but they have the gun attack there, which is nice. Trying to see what else we got here for you. You got all the capital tax. You got excessive taxation, deforestation, agriculture, artillery regiments. Purchases all remaining improvements for artillery. I don't know what this is for, but whatever's. Yeah, was it like upgrade the stats even more to your artillery? Yeah, if that's the case, then it probably makes your console like brutally good. Yeah, let's start going over like the military. So this is the Betajerba Buj. This is your sort of Hussar unit. He is essentially going to be, good against most things a Hussar are. He has sort of like a spear. This is the Sawar equivalent there. Pretty much the same as the Sawar. This is the Borcha. This is the Spearman. So kind of like a weaker pikeman. This is the Qatar. Basically a Rajput, right? The Shamsher, basically a coyote runner, right? There he is. This is the Arumi you get. The Anadabujadamala Arumi. He's much more well dressed than the one in Legacy, right? He obviously actually has the shirt on. Yeah. The Commandar, basically your Dragoon with the bow and arrow. Your Mahout, you don't have to explain too much. Same with your Hauda. Your Topkana is just a siege elephant, right? This is your Dao. So the Dao looks like this. He has a little hat on, and he's essentially gonna be sort of an anti-cav for you. Yeah. A little bit different though, since he costs food and gold. I think he's statistically the Chang Dao swordsman, so a little bit different. Has a whole different purpose. Zambarak. The Danpada. Essentially an Indian Lancer that you can use. This is your Plungi. It's a Rocketeer pretty much. Essentially, yeah, no, it's essentially a Rocketeer that you can use. Actually, no, this is your Abyss gun. The Plungi is your Abyss gun. What am I talking about? This is your Rocketeer right here. He's got a splash attack and crush damage, so he's really strong. This is your Abyss gun, the Plungi, swivel gun. The Kukri appears to be a coyote runner, it looks like. So what's the difference between him and him? They're basically the same unit. That's weird. You got like two copies of the same unit, dude. What's the difference? This is a food and wood one, and this one is a food and gold one. Okay, so guess it depends on what you want to spend, right? Yeah. The Toradars are just your sepoys, right? The chunk. This is your Afghan crossbowman, by the way. So has some pretty cheap stats, I would say. The Kund. The Kund's the one that's the Shotel warrior. That's what I was saying. Yeah, this is the Kund. He has like a little axe and stuff, and he sort of fights like that. The Porbia. Porbia is basically a camel archer. Yeah, it's a camel archer. The Giselle, basically just your skirmisher, right? Your Gurkha replacement. Dakali is your longbowman. Punjab is your organ gun. Your Butcher Garnal is sort of like a siege elephant, right? And your Topf is basically just your like standard artillery. Kind of a falconet, or it's actually statistically similar to a heavy cannon, if you look closely. And the Astrobal, just your gunpowder based dragoon. Yeah. So that's kind of all your military units with this Civ. Just note that the way upgrades works for this India Civ, you only upgrade your units once. You either get one in age, upgrade in age 3 or age 4 or age 5, depending on when the unit's unlocked. Plus you get arsenal techs too. You get all the European ones here. You get all the ones too for the cavalry. Plus you get some new ones like horse breeding that improves horse speed. Barb horses has more HP on the horses, and then this allows them to build faster. Diaspa system. And then this for the artillery. So you get all the standard artillery stuff plus Yongu gun barrel that improves artillery by 15% HP and attack, plus portable cannons, more speed and line of sight for cannons. Yep. And at the castle, you can actually levy up Minutemen and stuff too, which is nice. I'm trying to see what else you need to see here. Oh yeah, we got to build the church out, right? Put that right here. So yep, with the church, you can trickle food, wood, gold, or XP. It's really up to you. But the big thing is you get all these religious texts, and then you can train religious leaders too. So here's all the religious leaders, basically. And they all have their own special abilities. So let's go through each one, just so you know what they are. So this is the Mobed. And you can read what they are here. So Pandit is a Hindu monk with powerful abilities. Right. So if you click on the description of the Mobed, it's a Parsi monk with powerful abilities. Heals allied units. So his abilities are Damka or Dakma. Mobed triples XP kill bounty from nearby passive units. So he essentially has the aura ability of the Aztec war chief to let whatever units farm a ton of XP off of kills. But he also has this ability, the Nav Jyoti. Wave Barsum and persuade enemy villagers to join your side. So if you can target this near enemy villagers, you can convert those villagers, yeah. You get the Padre, a Christian monk with powerful abilities, heals injured units. So his ability is Slia. Padre self regenerates HP when idle. And then his ability is Velipadu, Revelation of Apocalypse to confuse the enemy units into attacking each other. So, you know how the African, explorers can get the treasure guardians to try to kill each other and stuff? You can essentially do this to enemy armies and let them do that to each other. It's pretty awesome. I don't think they can control it once you do it, though. Yeah. Karseva. Grunthi doubles gather rate of villagers around him. So he is essentially a Sikh monk. But he also gets the Gatka. He sweeps a Kanda sword to damage all units in the area. So he'll get a huge sword and go Hamla! And just decapitate them. It's pretty nice. You got the Malvi, a Muslim monk with powerful abilities. His passive ability is Talim. Malvi increases the hit points of nearby units. You should try to run all these guys at the same time just to get maximum benefit. Takwa. Awareness of God's protection increases the speed of a target unit. Good for scouting. Baku. A Buddhist monk with powerful abilities. His passive ability is Korluna. Baku absorbs some of the damage inflicted to nearby units. Ahimsa. Showing the path of non-violence, pacified the target, reducing its movement speed and attack speed. So the same as the Padre's ability for Mexico. And then the last one here, the Pundit, the Hindu monk. So his passive ability is Pundit gets stronger when close to any allied units. So he becomes more durable when he's around people. And his ability is the Bajrang. Stun the enemy with the strike of Gada Blunjan. Yeah. And here are the religious texts. Ancestral Worship grants 5 XP for every unit you have lost so far in the game. Caste system. Villages are cheaper to recruit but train slower. So essentially your villages are super cheap but they take forever to get. And then you get fasting. Implementation of daily fasting decreases villager hit points but increases all gather rates. Just like the native tech for I think the Bhakti, right? Yeah, shared festivals. Healer, heal, great gather. Well, this helps your healers to heal faster. Mysticism. Monks are stronger and cheaper. Then the last one, Sacred Flood. Your settlers gather much better from farms, but somewhat more slowly from everything else. So it's essentially the Portuguese royal decree, but wrapped for India, pretty much. Yep. A lot of stuff, huh? Yeah, no, totally. Let's get the... I got a consulate, right? So let's go over the consulate now, just so you know. So with India, You now have British allies, Portuguese allies, French allies, Ottoman allies, right? Sort of the ones you've always had. But now you have the Dutch, so you can get all the special buildings like the bank, the church, and all that. Pretty sweet stuff, right? Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I'll just show you that now just for fun, just to prove it. Yep, you can get a church, you can get a bank, you can get your arsenal there. Kind of useless since you get everything at your buildings anyways, then you get a livestock pen. So this livestock pen is the only way you can actually fan up your chickens and goats as a civ, just so you know. Or essentially you know that. Yeah, the church, the only thing it does is it lets you make missionaries. So, yeah. The missionaries don't cost any pop space, though, so that's good, right? That combines with all the religious units up there for a pretty good combo. You can also train your chickens and goats here, too, which is really sweet. So if you want to go herbal economy, that's what you do. Yeah. But let's get away from them and let's go to our unique consulate ally, the East India Company. Markets have better resources exchange, but 50% less villager HP. So markets trade better, but our villagers die easier. Yeah. If you send that card that reduced your villagers HP by 75%, your villagers basically, I think it would actually probably make them die instantly. I believe it would. I don't know that for sure, but yeah. Alright, so yep. Let's show you some of the units here. So first is first. This is the tea farm here. Where's the tea farm? This is the tea farm right on the spot, man. Right there. Essentially, you gotta find your bills, right, and put them on the tea farm. You can have up to, I believe you can have up to 5 units on a farm, right? Yep. Oh, did he bug this somehow? I think he did. This used to work fine, but now it seems like the villagers just don't know what to do on it. Oh, God. Oh, never mind. It's gathering. Yep, I was a little scared. It's gathering about 3.48 export per second. Yeah. Alright, cool. And then what else do we want to show you? So we'll show you the units that they get. They get the Havildar. This is essentially their infantrymen. It's got the stats of the armor. It's got the stats of the Royal Musketeer, basically, of the French. So it has I believe it has a charge attack, right? Or does it? It has a combat promotion. Because I remember the last time I saw it, it actually did have, the charged attack of the Royal Musketeer of the Bourbon. But it looks like he might have removed that, I guess. Which is totally fine, but interesting. And then you have these other units, too. You got the Dufadar, you got the Naib Rizaldar, and then you have the Lansadar. Yep, so now, yeah, he has just turned him into a standard musket now. Okay, that's totally cool. That's totally fine. Probably, you know why? Because I think I told him the charge attack was bugged, so he just removed it. Totally fair. Naib, Rizaldar. This is essentially a East India Company mounted infantry. They can either stay in sort of the mounted mode and work just like the Habsburg have, or they can dismount and become a skirmisher. And then you can mount again, just like that. Yep. The Lansadar is just, a lancer. Kind of just like a Jab Lancer, yeah. Trying to see what else I need to make for you here. Oh, yep, this is the East India Company sort of Hussar-like unit, basically. Yep. And you also get these, too. You get a Sutrij gun. Let me get my bill over here. Hamla. Some of this. Nice. This is our Sojan, our Swajid gun, our lieutenant, and our colonel. So the Sutrij gun is basically just like a Napoleon cannon we can get with the East India Company. The sergeant's just sort of our healer. The colonel is basically one of our commander units. He boosts the nearby company units, and he can recruit all the mounted ones. Whereas the lieutenant can make the Sojans, the dismounted skirmishers, and then the Halvadars. So he makes all the infantry, and he makes all the cavalry, basically. You can tell obviously he's like a Hussar unit and he's more or less like a gunpowder unit. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the basic stuff of the India Civ for you pretty much. Moving along though, there's a lot more stuff we want to see. I'll just show you some of the units I have right here right now, just so you can see them. So these are the hools, by the way. These are the hools. These are the sort of arrow knights that you get. What they look like right there. Let's make some of this stuff too. So this is what the Javana gun looks like. It's like a big, cool bombard with an elephant pulling it. Very nice. These are the polygars. These are essentially Shinaka riders, right? Yeah. It seems like their charge attack's good, but their melee attack is kind of garbage, but that's fine. Let me get my capital so I can... Let's see what these look like, yep. So these are what the Indian Sebastopols look like. Notice how they got the holes inside the thingy. Looks pretty cool looking. And then these are their rockets pretty much, yep. Oh yeah, no, totally. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you like what all the new units look like. So let me just load those in real quick into a deck and then we'll just go over that. Units. Should have set this up beforehand, but here we go. So what units do we want to see, folks? We want to see red pandas. We want to see this. We want to see probably this, 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 this. Yeah. Basically all these, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, we can just mix and match it that way. And then, I'm not going to make the stuff that already exists in the game. It's kind of a waste. But yeah, no, just all these. So yeah, so these are all sort of the units that we don't have access... I'm trying to see if I can... I'm just cherry picking to see if I can fit any of these anywhere else. I think these are all the ones we want to see, right? Yeah. So yep, let's just load that in with the Indian bot again so we don't get bothered. Okay, we're good, right? Just making sure we got all the stats. Yep, we should be fine. Let's load it up, people. Check out all these cool new animals and mercenaries and stuff that we get. Obviously, what we want to do is just build up a couple of quick wonders, right? Doesn't matter which ones. Let's build them here. Yep. Get that. Then one more. Nice. Cool. Alright, so now we're gonna basically build our church thing and generate XP from it, right? Got build a ton of houses. So let's pick our units deck and start looking at units. Yeah. So let's send the animals first. So we got our cobras. Little snakies. Look at our little snakies there. Huh, interesting. Cool. Actually gives us a ton of them. Look at them all. Huntable, defensive animal. Harvest for food or gold. Okay, so we can hunt them for gold? That's it. I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that. I thought they were like a combat unit, like they were in Wars of Liberty. So basically, we can kill these guys and we can gather some gold from them, like a gold animal. Probably for their anti-venom. Yeah, that's pretty nice. What about the R1, the pythons? So the pythons, we can do the same thing for, but they have a lot more gold, but they're also more dangerous too. This is pretty awesome, yeah, but obviously you want to be careful with your vills, because if you're not careful, they'll kill your vills and you'll die. Oh, God. So you're literally shipping yourself snakies that can kill your vills, but you're doing it so you can collect their gold. Look at all the little snakies running around, yeah. How about the hornbills? What are the hornbills like? So the hornbills don't hurt you at all, so... It looks like, yeah, you can just hunt them as normal, right? Yeah, no, pretty much. Yeah. Look at all these animals. Looks like a petting zoo in here. If you count all the stuff we get from the sacred fields. And what about the pandas, the red pandas? Here's the red pandas, folks. So they're another animal that can fight back, and they contain about 100 gold in them. So yeah. Look at the little red pandas walking around. Very nice. It's like Kung Fu Panda. Now we're going to start shipping in all these military units so I can show them to you. So we got the Fozikas. That's these here. Get out of my way, son. So statistically, they have a high siege and also some pretty decent stats. So they're a pretty decent musket. So you can ship those in. You got the Damadal cannon. This is another bombard option you get that's pulled by an elephant. I think it's a bit stronger. You can either have it pulled by the elephant or have it go into the bombard mode where it gets slower like that. You have the Dunstala elephants. Essentially, these are, I think, flail elephants. The Runhila Patans. These were essentially a hussar you can send in. Just grab that gold for me real quick. The Polygar Nayaks. These are, yep, these are the ones we just saw, right? Yep. Oh, I just delete them then. And then just a few more units we want to look at. We got the Udya Paika Kanayats. These ones. So these are spearmen. This is what they... Essentially, roderos. And then we just have a few more units to look at in the list. We got the Malata Poneri Malalis. So these are their pike stats. A little bit different. I think they're more similar to war clubs. They have some sort of like light spear. You got the Courtier Javelineers. They don't even use a javelin. They're just spearmen. Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. I mean, look at all these units. They're all modeled and textured and stuff too, so they're not bad looking. And the Konyene Hetalis. What are these? So these are another spearman, but they have like a... No, these are actually related to the Akanocobias, because they have that one splash range attack of the Akans. So they're basically Maratha Akanocobias because of their hats. Yeah. And then we have the Dengaz Grenadiers. Another unit here. Here's your Indian Humbarasis. By the way, most of these icons I heard were made using AI, so sort of mid-journey. So it's not necessarily the best looking stuff in the world, but he did make an effort to actually make them their own artwork, which, you know, I'll give him that. I mean, at least he tried to make artwork for him. Let's get this going here, get a rice pad going so we can start collecting gold. So we can start shipping in these other things. So we don't have enough space for units, do we? So let's delete all this stuff. Alright, so this is our Biragun. This is a Nepal-based Gatling gun. Looks pretty, it actually looks really nice looking. Doesn't look like a regular Gatling gun. Looks more modern. And then these are the splash sword units that I was telling you about. These guys here. They kind of look like samurai in a way, but not really. They have all Indian armor. These are the tiger cannons. These are your sort of like Morotarus. Indian is using them, of course. And then we just have to go through these units up there at the top. And then you sort of have the full tutorial in the Hungs. Yeah, they're basically just like chakram riders on top of horses with lances and stuff with the stats of a Shinanko rider. So they're actually pretty decent for a early game. Make the next one here. These are the elephants that we can ship in. The Pirbans. Basically just Mahouts. These are the Gosians. So they actually have no hand attack. They have a hand attack in their mounted mode, which is actually pretty good. But their spearmen don't have any stats. So, yep. He has to fix this. Fix this developer. They don't have a hand attack in the spear mode. You basically just have to keep them mounted all the time, unfortunately. You got your Bhutanese Bazaps. Swordsman. Very nice. Look at that. Very good. The last run. So this is your skirmisher. It's basically a Gurkha you can ship in. Yeah. Konyak Nagas. Yep, they're essentially Zapotec warriors statistically, yeah. Huh, that's weird. Now the animals are fighting us, great. You got your Manipuri Arambais. No, they're little Arambais, so if we want to like attack some of these animals. They throw actual darts. No, you can see the darts being used. It's pretty funny actually how they use like actual Arambai darts. Then the last unit here we got is the Arumduns. Yeah, basically Burmese sort of Zapotecs, yeah. So yeah, there we are, folks. That's all the units that we have in this wonderful India Overhaul project mod. It's a huge mod, very big one. So many things, so many mechanics. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed me for the ride. It was a long one. Probably one of my biggest overviews in terms of just data overload. But hopefully you enjoyed the show. All right. Sign off now. See you all mañana or whenever.